Today's lecture deals with the value of the dollar. It could apply to any currency, but we are going to be using the dollar and currencies that we exchange for in these examples. The first thing we'd like to do is to distinguish between the value of the dollar in the United States and the value of the dollar abroad, or the exchange rate. The value of the dollar in the United States is determined by the price level, or what you can buy with it. So if prices go up, you can buy less with it, and therefore the value of the dollar goes down. But that's the relationship between inflation and the currency, inverse relationship between price and the value of the currency. The one that we're going to be concentrating on today is the exchange rate, or how the value of the dollar is determined on international markets. In the media, when you hear about the value of the dollar going up or down, they are not looking at the purchasing power in the United States. They're looking at it from an international standpoint. When there is an increase in the demand for dollars, then the value of the dollar is going to be going up. When there is a decrease in demand, the value is going to be going down, and it would also go down if the supply of dollars on international markets is going to be going up. Now, as a graphic representation, we could look here at a simple demand and supply graph. And so if you're looking at this relationship, the demand is downward sloping, so that's the demand for dollars, and this is the supply of dollars. If there is an increased demand, D2 for dollars, this being D1, then you see that the value is going to be going up, pretty much like any good or service. If the supply of dollars is going to be reduced, S1, S2, that again is going to be increasing the value of the dollar. So next we're going to be looking at what really determines the demand for US dollars, or why would foreigners want to demand US dollars? And in order to look at that, we can see that there are several reasons. One will be if foreigners would like to import from the US. Number two, if they would like to invest in the United States, start a business, for instance, therefore they will need to have dollars, excuse me, dollars rather than yen or euros. The same goes for depositing money in US banks, obviously in a situation where our banks are offering a higher interest rate. And a very, very small portion, but some of you may be aware of that, is if people lack the trust in their own local currency, they very often are going to be putting their savings or into a piggy bank, US dollars rather than their own currency. So these would be the actually three reasons, and one is a marginal reason. So let's see what happens when they are importing from the US. If foreigners want to buy American products, then they will have to increase the demand for dollars. So they are going to be increasing the supply of euros and increasing the demand for dollars, which means that they're going to be exchanging euros for dollars. So let's say that a French citizen would like to purchase, well, citizens in general would like to purchase California wine. Then there's going to be an increased demand for US dollars, and the value of the dollar is going to be going up. So as the demand for dollars increases, the supply of euros is going to be going up because they're exchanging one for the other. And as the value of the dollar goes up, our products are becoming more expensive because they will need more euros to purchase the same product. So let's take a numerical example. Let's say that you have an exchange of a dollar for euro 1-to-1. That would have been a long time ago. But let's just say that you have 1-to-1 ratio. $1 is equal to 1 euro. And so if the price of a California wine is equal to $20, it is also equal to 20 euro. But let's say that because so many French people are interested in buying California wine, the value of the US dollar is going up. At this point, we no longer have a 1-to-1, but 1-to-2. Let's say it doubles. So 1, this is eventually going to become $1 is equal to 2 euros. So now, the price of a California wine is still $20, but at the same time, it is no longer 20 euro, but right now, it's going to be equal to 40 euro. More expensive as a result. California growers are not happy. The second thing here is to invest in the United States, and it's the same process that will occur. So if foreigners would like to start businesses in the US, they need dollars, therefore they're going to be demanding more dollars. The value of the dollar goes up, and at the same time, what you will see is that the profits and the revenue, once it is going to be exchanged for the local currency of the foreign investor, is going to be suffering, because since the value went up, they are going to be getting less of their own currency in exchange. Now, foreigners putting their money into American banks. And as we said, this is going to happen only mainly when the interest rates in the United States are higher. And as a result, again, foreigners will need to exchange their yen or yuan or euros for US dollars, increase in the value of the dollar. As a result, some of the benefits from the transaction or the interest that they will have received from the higher interest rates in the United States are going to erode. Now, we can also talk about the impact of the change in the value of the dollar on both aggregate demand and the GDP. So when we have an increase in the demand for our own currency, you will see that the demand increases for the dollar value, but for the dollars. But here, when you're looking at your aggregate demand of goods and services produced in relationship to the aggregate supply, here's the price level, and here's your GDP. If we export more, then our aggregate demand is going to be moving out. And we will export more when the value of the dollar is going to be going down rather than up. So that's the relationship between the value of the dollar and aggregate demand. For aggregate demand to move out, we have to have a decrease in the value of the dollar, which means more foreigners will be buying our products. We will be producing more. Now, in relationship to the GDP, you will see that net exports are part of the GDP calculation. And net exports are the difference between imports and exports, and for that number to be positive, your exports have to be larger than your imports. And that is going to be happening when we have a trade surplus. Now, if we have a trade deficit, which of course we have been having since the 1980s, non-stop, ever-growing trade deficits, then this is a situation where our imports are larger than our exports. But this kind of trade disbalance can be solved by the free exchange rate of the US dollar. And this is the way it works. When, let's say that right now, since we have a deficit, we have imports that are larger than our exports. which is larger, the demand for dollars or the supply of dollars, if you have imports that are larger than exports? Since we are importing, we are increasing the supply of dollars, which means that the value or the exchange rate is going down. And as the value of the currency goes down, you will see that, therefore, exports should be going up because now our products are cheaper, and imports are going to be going down because those foreign goods are right now going to become more expensive, given that the value of the dollar is low. And that's what has been happening recently. So given that we have a trade deficit, it is normal for us to expect to have to have a decrease in the value of the dollar, because that is therefore going to increase or reduce the trade deficit. Well, if exports are going up and imports are going down, then the trade deficit. And remember, you name it, we have it in terms of deficits, but let's say trade deficit is going to be going down. Just for an extra training here, if we had a trade surplus, China has a trade surplus. This is the manufacturer of the world. And so as they have larger exports than they have imports, what should be happening to the value of their currency? The value of their currency should be going up, the yuan. But they are refusing to do that. And what is happening is that they have tied the currency, the yuan, to the dollar, so that the yuan does not go up in value. Because if it does, then what is happening to the cost or the price of goods produced in China? They're going up. So hopefully this makes sense, and you have to treat that as one stage at a time. So you first look at what happens when there is an increase in demand for a currency, the value goes up, and if the value goes up, then that currency can therefore buy more of the other currencies, but at the same time it is making your exports more expensive. Thank you.